Okay, we got our wires hooked up and it did work the way that we thought. So the red is actually the negative and the black is the negative, and the yellow and blue are positives. And now we're going to screw this bad boy in. So one of the things you'll notice if you have a Land Cruiser that's been around for a while is the fact that the speakers sound terrible. Unless you have an LX470 with the upgraded stereo. Generally, I think they sound pretty bad to begin with, and over time, they deteriorate. The sub, because it sounds particularly bad. Easiest that I could see on some of the forums that I looked at was to replace it with this Pyle 6-inch subwoofer, and we'll see how this sounds. This guy was $12, a whopping $12 on Amazon, so it's definitely not going to break the bank. So if it stinks, it stinks. All right, so we're going to get started here. There's a little retention clip on the ends, and then one set of clips for each screw. Alright, now I gotta pry up both of these plastic. The next thing is this thing, and you just apparently just turn it and then it pops out. So it locks in like this, and when you turn it, it'll let it release, and then there's a Phillips screw in there. I got to get this out, and there are two clips in here, about here and here, so there we go, there's one, there's two. Those guys popped right out, one yellow, one red, good to go. All right, now we got to remove the seat belts. Okay. One down, one to go. We got to get this clip out. This is similar to the clip down here that we took out, so try not to drop it in there. One more thing, this thing we got to do. Alright, so this guy is a star bit. I think it's also called a Torx bit. So if you don't have one of these in your toolbox, you may need to get one. It has this little couple retaining clips that slide under there, just little slots. So from here on out, there's just some of those panel retaining clips. So we will see if we can get in around it and start popping some of those. There's also a connector here for the right back here for the cigarette lighter. Oh, and from this side I can see the button pretty easily. So now I should be able to lift this right out. Here you've got the massive 6-inch sub, and you can even hear just me tapping on it. There's something not right in that speaker. Oh. You have to actually peel this up and get to the screws, which are right under here. Oh, look at that. they are also the Torx screws that we just took out of here. Alright, well, there's a retaining ring of some kind in here. I don't know what that's really for.
Aren't you supposed to screw that in? Aren't there screws?
Yeah, you took them out. Smarty pants.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that side.
You gotta take the screws out!
Is it glued in there?
Yeah, it's just kind of hanging up on the... So you can see all of that's broken. See how all that's broken around the edge?
Yeah. Ah, yeah. It's all like
It's worn.
old and...
Yeah. Oil subwoofer. I have seen on the forums that people wire this up, and when they do both sides it doesn't work, and when they do one side it works, and they think that half of their amp is screwed up. But like from the posts I saw, everybody assumes this is the positive, and I have some documentation that I acquired that this is actually the red, believe it or not, is the negative. So the red and the black are your negatives, and the blue and the yellow are your positives. And if you hook up a dual voice coil subwoofer and you hook up one channel backwards, which is what I think everyone that I've seen post does, then these two signals essentially cancel each other out and you'll get nothing. So here's our two subs. They're really close to the same size, and you can see that this is pretty much split all around, and as you saw when I was in there, just they're not really supposed to make that noise, so I think that's where a lot of the not in good shape at all. So this is going to do a lot better. We'll see how good it really sounds in the end. Okay, first thing to note is the holes don't match up perfectly, but the pile, which is on the bottom, is a little bit smaller. So the way I have it is where this speaker is just about centered. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the unorthodox method that one of the gentlemen on the message board did, and I'm going to trim the excess of the speaker. And I mean, it's a $12 speaker, so probably not such a big deal to do that. And that's what we're going to do right now. So we're going to mark this, and then we're going to cut it. Okay, so you can just barely see because I was using a black permanent marker, the part that we're going to cut off. Alright, so we were going to use a hacksaw, and I was worried about doing this, but you can even do it one-handed. So, you know, I'm trying not to bend the frame as a whole, but this metal is really soft. And so tried a little test area and it worked pretty good, so alright, so after that you can see it's about the same shape. A little rough around the edges, but not too bad. Just watch your fingers on those sharp things. Here. So now slide that on the wire.
Which one? The red?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just any the first one that you wanted. Alright, and so you want to make sure it stays seated just like it is.
Okay.
Mommy, come look what the squirrels.
Buddy, I can't right now, honey.
Okay, we'll be out there in a second.
It's a hole. I can see the inside.
Oh, and the pumpkin? Oh my goodness.
In my pumpkin.
He probably is getting a big meal out of that. Yep, so, yep. And now you just want to squeeze the bejeebies out of it. Alright, that's good. That's plenty.
Okay.
And now just make sure that it's...
Did I do it right?
It looks pretty good. Now see, yank on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Yep. And so
Cool.
do that 3 more times. Okay, we got our wires hooked up, and it did work the way that we thought. So the red is actually the negative and the black is the negative, and the yellow and blue are positives. And now we're going to screw this bad boy in. Okay, so you can see the speaker in there. See all these screws, the holes that are in there are a little bit too far apart for the speaker, so they're all going in at an angle. So I had to kind of get it centered, which I started with the cuts, so it's pretty close. I'm still a little bit worried about stripping these out. So we're just going to do a couple turns per one. That actually, they snug down. They were at a pretty severe angle, but they didn't strip, and I'm just being careful not to turn them too tight, but I feel like looking around here and it all looks pretty good. So now we're gonna test it out. And just because I'm going to Loctite all the screws that are going back in. So I just spent a few minutes playing some different music with bass in it and mids and stuff, and the sub sounds okay. It's not amazing, but it's definitely way better than it was, and it made me realize that the door speakers are pretty bad off too, but it improved a lot, but now you can really hear the door speakers and how bad they were, so that'll be next on the list.